And we are back. Welcome to my final Manchester United video of the season. This is Stay or Go 2025, where I assess every single player, the manager, the club's performances, give them a grade, and then make my decision as to whether or not I would keep or whether I would get rid of that player or manager in the summer. A reminder of how we grade these players. I'm going to put them on the screen now. An A rank means that they could not have done better. Literally, their performances could not have been any better if they tried. You'll get a B if you exceed your expectations, C if you meet the expectations of the football club, a D for whether they could have done a little bit better, an E means they failed to meet the expectations at all, an F for being an actual detriment to the club, i.e. they're making the club go backwards, and then a U if they didn't play or didn't contribute to the season in any way, shape or form, but are still registered as part of the Manchester United first team squad. Let's start off then where the season began, with Mr. Erik ten Hag, and a new feature for this series this season. I've even included what grade I gave them last season, and last season I gave Erik ten Hag a D. I think he could have done better last season, but obviously he still delivered that FA Cup. This season, I'm going to give Erik ten Hag an E. I think he failed to meet the expectations of where we were off the back of that. We were in Europe. We were trying to push on for a top 4 place for this season. And unfortunately, particularly in Europe, those early performances at the start of the season weren't good enough. When he was sacked, we were 4 points off the European places. So literally, he was failing to meet the expectations that were put on him after the summer that we had, especially given the amount of players that he had brought in. I don't think he was a detriment to the club at all. I don't think we were going backwards under Ten Hag. I don't think at any point we were actually going backwards under Ten Hag, but we weren't quite meeting the expectations we wanted from him, so ultimately that did end up in him going. He was then replaced by Ruud van Nistelrooy, who I'm actually just going to give a C to. I think he met his expectation. He was only in charge for 4 games. In those 4 games, we won 3 of them, and we drew at home to Chelsea in the other one. For me, that was meeting the expectations of Ruud van Nistelrooy, and also he got us that crucial first win in Europe, which obviously started that run which took us all the way to the European final. Honestly, I could have given Van Nistelrooy a B for his time in charge, but I think a C is about right. Obviously, he ended up leaving as well. Maybe in hindsight, he should have stayed for the remainder of the season. But for me, obviously, the verdict is that he is gone. And then he was replaced by Mr. Ruben Amorim. Now, I'm going to make a couple of controversial statements here. The first one that I'm going to make is that I'm going to give Ruben Amorim an F. I think Ruben Amorim, in his time in charge of Manchester United this season, has been a detriment to Manchester United. The club has undoubtedly gone backwards under Ruben Amorim over the course of the last 6 or 7 months. Now, that is not solely down to Ruben Amorim. Don't get me wrong, straight away that is not down to him. He made it perfectly clear that he wanted to come in the summer, but the board made its decision that he was the man to take us back to where we wanted to be. We're going to install him immediately. He made it perfectly clear that he was only going to play one style of play. That's why he's getting an F, because sticking with his beliefs is the reason we've gone backwards. We did not have the squad capable of playing the way that he wants to play, and it's resulted in us finishing 15th in the league table with our worst goals ever, our worst goal difference ever, our worst points ever in the Premier League era. We have gone backwards under Ruben Amorim. We have won no trophies. The squad has never looked worse. So he has to get an F for his time in charge of Manchester United so far, because he didn't adapt. He didn't try anything different. He could have quite easily changed it and then gone back to his system now, where he has the chance to then build a team that he actually wants to make. Instead, he's taken us backwards this season. And I look at where we are now, and if I'm honest with you, this is the other controversial point that I'm going to make. If it was up to me, I would actually get rid of Ruben Amorim right now. And the reason for that is it's about being realistic. When he went in at Sporting Lisbon, it's been well documented over the last few weeks, he cleared out 17 players in that summer transfer window, brought in a whole new team, and then they went on to achieve everything that they achieved. That is something that you can accomplish at a club like Sporting Lisbon, where players are on low wages. They will have demand from clubs all over the rest of Europe, and you can buy players that you want to mould them into the sort of style that you want in a league where Sporting are regarded as one of the top teams. I don't think that what he wants to do this summer is achievable with what Manchester United currently have. We have so many players that are so overpaid and have put in consistently poor performances over the last few years, whereby I don't see how we have the level of overhaul that we need to implement his system. And even if we do, say we do clear out 250 million worth of players and clear out 3 to 4 million worth of wages every week, what players are we going to sign that are going to A, suit his system, but also be at the level that we need to get to where we want to be? Because don't get me wrong, let's not get it twisted. The expectation for Manchester United next season will be to compete for the top 4. It's not going to be for the title, but it's going to be to get back into the Champions League. That is going to be the expectation. We are already behind the 6 teams that are in the Champions League. No doubt about it. We are already behind the 6 teams in the Champions League in terms of the position we're in, because we're not in the Champions League, and in terms of the squad that we already have. And you can throw Aston Villa in there as well, because they just missed out, but they've got a better team than us currently. That's already 7 teams that are ahead of us in terms of status and in terms of existing squad. In order for us to have such a big clear out and sign all the players we need to then get back into that position where we compete with those 7 teams, it's not realistic. So for me, Ruben Amorim is not the right person to have in charge of Manchester United right now. And it pains me to say it because I think it's a literal fact at this point. I think Dan Ashworth was right. I think we needed to take that step back, install a manager that was actually going to galvanise the squad, and I think we would have had a better finish to the season, where to the point where we could start looking at someone like Ruben Amorim to take over now. You think about the job I said that Van Nistelrooy did in those 3 weeks in charge. He got a little bit of togetherness going. He got a little bit of belief going. We got the wins. We got the results. Maybe we should have stuck with that for the remainder of this season, then looked at bringing in Ruben Amorim now, where this overhaul would be much more realistic. But I don't know. I think right now Ruben Amorim is not the right man to take Manchester United forward, and it is because of the situation that we're in. I don't think the overhaul he wants to bring in is a realistic possibility. So for me, he will go. However, I have to state at this point that for the remainder of this video, I'm going to go off the assumption that Ruben Amorim does stay, because it's been made quite clear by Radcliffe and Barada and whoever that they want to back Ruben Amorim in this transfer window. So for the remainder of this video, I am going off the assumption that Amorim is staying, and my then stay or go verdicts are going to be based on whether or not I think the players that we've got can be successful under Ruben Amorim. Because if I did the rest of this video assuming that Amorim was going to leave, it's basically a pointless video. So we're assuming that Amorim's going to stay, but honestly, right now, I think we need a different direction in terms of how we restabilise ourselves before then looking to move ourselves back up the table. But you guys can let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. But without any further ado, let's get into the players, because we're nearly 8 minutes into the video already. And we'll do it in position order and then by numerical order. So we'll start off with the goalkeepers, and number 1 is Bayindir. Last season, I gave him an F because he played 1 game, so he was literally a detriment to the club. This season, I'm going to give him an E. He's failed to meet the expectations. He's just not good enough. I don't think he's a detriment. He's not costing us points. Yes, he did have that fumble against Aston Villa on the final day of the season, but he's a half-decent goalkeeper. I just don't think he's good enough. But at the same time, I'm looking at the other goalkeepers that we've got, and they're not good enough either. And I think right now, he's probably the easiest one to keep. So I'd probably keep him because we need to still have a number 2 goalkeeper. I would still be signing a number 1 goalkeeper in this summer, but we can't sell all of our goalkeepers. So for me, the easiest one to keep out of our current squad is Bayindir. So Bayindir, I am going to keep for next season. Tom Heaton, last season I gave him a U. This season it's a U again. It's now been 2 seasons where Tom Heaton hasn't played a single game for Manchester United in a competitive capacity. Obviously, he's played the last couple of games on this post-season tour against the Oceanic All-Stars and Hong Kong. And to be honest, in both games, I think he could have done better on both goals. And I look at him, he's 39 years of age. We don't need him in regards for the quota of homegrown players. We've got enough youngsters to cover that. He's just burning up wages. Apparently, he's going to stay for another year. I would assume that's because Onana and Bayindir are probably both leaving, so he'll be the number 2 goalkeeper next year. But for me, there's just no point in having him. I just think he needs to go. That opinion may have been different if he hadn't, in my opinion, cocked up on both goals we've conceded this week. But yeah, for me, Tom Heaton, he's way too overaged to be a Manchester United goalkeeper. For me, he has to go. And then Onana, well, I gave Onana a C last year because I think the good stuff he did outweighed the bad. This season, there has been no good. it has just been bad. To the point where Onana has been a detriment to Manchester United this season. He has cost us on so many occasions that you actually can't remember them all. There are so many mistakes, so many blunders, so many big moments that have involved Onana this season that have all gone against us. It's an absolute joke, all the way down to the Europa League final where he should save the goal that Tottenham scored. He has to go, and I hope we can get some good money from Saudi Arabia for him because it looks like they're interested. But he absolutely has to go, and we need a new number 1 in the summer. On to the defence, and we start off with number 2, Victor Lindelof. Last season he got a D. This season he's getting an E. Just, again, he hasn't had a single good game this season. I wouldn't say he'd been a detriment because I don't think it's been that bad from him, but again, I expect more from a player like Lindelof. He's been a really good servant for the club, but the entire time he's been there, he's never got better. And over the last couple of years, he's sort of tailed off as well. So, for me, it's an E, and obviously we already know he's out of contract, so Victor Lindelof is already gone. On to Mazraoui, who I actually think has had a pretty damn good season. I think he has been really solid. In my opinion, he's our best signing from this season. He's going to get a B. I actually think he's exceeded the expectations. When you consider everything he's had to do, he was signed to be a right back. That was it. He was signed to be Erik ten Hag's new right back. He has played at right back under Ten Hag. He has played at left back under Ten Hag. He even played at number 10 under Ten Hag. Then Ruben Amorim's come in. He's played right centre back. He's played right wing back. He's played left wing back. And in every single game, he has given 100%. And week in, week out, he has probably been one of, if not our most consistent player this season. He has been incredible. And for the price that we've paid for him, absolutely phenomenal bit of business from the football club. He has definitely exceeded my expectations. Obviously, I still think we'd like to see a little bit more output from him, which is why it's not an A, it's just a B. But absolutely, Mazraoui, brilliant season. You are 100% staying. On to Matthias de Ligt. And, well, from a signing that's been everything that we wanted and more, to a signing who, unfortunately, for me, has let us down. Again, I'm not going to say it's a detriment, but for me, de Ligt has failed to meet expectations. And yes, the vast majority of that is due to injuries, but he still hasn't been there. When you needed Matthias de Ligt this season, he's not been there. When he plays well. And I still believe that if we can get a fully fit Matthias de Ligt, he will start every single game for Manchester United, probably in the centre of that back three. But unfortunately, he has failed to meet the expectations. He was supposed to be the big money centre-back signing that was going to rejuvenise our defence and make us a much more solid team. It's not happened. He gets an E, but I will keep him because he deserves another season to see how he can do without those injuries. On to Harry Maguire. Last season, I gave him a C, said it was his second best season following his first season for Manchester United. This season, I'm giving him a B because I think this has been his best season at Manchester United. And that is saying a hell of a lot for a 33-year-old who has finished 15th with Manchester United this season. But Harry Maguire has been absolutely outstanding. Again, everything I said about Mazraoui, but obviously given the fact that Maguire's just played centre-back, okay, you could say he went up front for a few times, but he's been there when we've needed him. He's been solid at the back. The mistakes from Maguire seem to have gone out the window. He seems much more settled in a back three than he does in the back two. His leadership qualities are still there, and he's popped up with important goals and important moments this season as well. Genuinely, I think he could do a job playing striker for 90 minutes, but that's a discussion for another day. But really good season from Harry Maguire. Absolutely, he should be staying. Then we have Lisandro Martinez. And this might annoy a few people, but I'm saying that Lisandro Martinez has been a detriment to the football club this season, and he should go. And that's really, that does hurt for me to say, because I really do like Lisandro Martinez. But he's had 2 major injuries in 2 seasons. And even when he was fit this season, for the, 6 weeks he was available, he did not look comfortable in Ruben Amorim's back three system at all. He is obviously too small to play the central centre-back position. He has to play on that left-hand side. But he didn't look physically capable. He couldn't move around. You've got to be very athletic. You think about how Mazraoui plays that position. You think of how, even to some extent, how Luke Shaw played that position, or when Heaven plays in there, or how Yoro plays in those positions on the outside. You've got to be quick. You've got to be mobile. You've got to be progressive. For me, Lisandro Martinez has no place in Ruben Amorim's system. We can get good money for him, which I think we could, and I know the likes of Ten Hag want him for Bayer Leverkusen. I would be cashing in on Lisandro Martinez. I don't think he has a long-term future at Manchester United. And like I said, it pains me to say it because he's got a lot of passion and a lot of charisma. But for me, there is just no place for him at Manchester United next season. On to Tyrell Malacia, who last season he got a U because obviously he was injured for the entire season and couldn't play. This season he gets an F because, again, when he came back, he was rubbish. And then when he's gone out on loan and we're paying his wages. So literally, he's not playing for us and we're paying his wages for him to play for someone else. That is the definition of a detriment to the football club. He is burning a hole through our team. He absolutely has to go. Hopefully, we can get some sort of deal for him. Then we have our new boy, Patrick Dorgu, who I think has been absolutely fine. I know a lot of people online are questioning his ability, which I think is absolutely staggering. The kid is 20 years old. He has come in from Lecce in the middle of Serie A to a Manchester United side with ridiculously high expectations in a position that we desperately needed. And I think he's done absolutely fine. So he's going to get a C. He has 100% met the expectation. He's not exceeded the expectation, but for, like I say, for a 20-year-old, his first season in the Premier League, I think he's done absolutely all right. And I look forward to seeing how he progresses over the course of the next 12 months. Dorgu, for me, 100% stays. Which brings us to Lenny Yoro, and this might be the first one that confuses a few of you, but I'm going to give Yoro a D, and that's purely down to his injury problems. Now, obviously it seems a bit unfair to say, well, he could have done better, and you're saying that because he got injured, but ultimately, that's how you judge a season. What was Dorgu's contribution to Manchester United this season? Well, it could have been better. The reason it wasn't was because he was injured. So I really rate his performances. He looks like a phenomenal young player. I think he's going to be one of the best centre-backs in the world over the course of the next few years. Again, I just hope we can keep him fit. Because if you think about what a backline could look like with a fit Yoro, a fit De Ligt, we're starting to build something there that I think we can have the foundations to do a really good backline from. So, again, it's unfortunate that I have to give him that grade, but I feel like it is an appropriate one to give to him. Obviously, Lenny Yoro has to stay. Dalot, on the other hand, who I got criticised for last season for only giving him a B rather than an A, this season, I'm giving him an E. I think he has been shocking. I think he has been absolutely woeful this season, especially since Ruben Amorim come in. And I don't understand why. I always said that Dalot was a bit like Trent in regards to the fact that he's very good going forward from right back, but he is a bit defensively susceptible, which is why, again, I was so impressed with Mazraoui when he came in. And I thought when Ruben Amorim came in, I thought, oh, this is brilliant. Good playing at right wing back is going to suit Dalot down to the ground. He has absolutely no idea what he's doing in that right wing back position. He's all over the place. He comes into midfield and he loses it. He drifts out wide and he can't link up with whoever's playing in the right forward position. He's defensively not aware. He doesn't track back on certain occasions. When he does get back, he positions himself at right back rather than right wing back. So there's far too much space for the opposition left wingers. He is absolutely all over the place and he's really, really disappointed me this season. And I still think, with his age, with his reputation, we could get some seriously good money for him. And I think Diogo Dalot should go. What I mean by it is, if you look at Sal's, like I say, how other people play right back in world football right now, you look at how Frimpong performs for Leverkusen, how Dumfries performs for Inter Milan, even how like Munoz performs for Crystal Palace. We've not seen anything like that from Diogo Dalot. And for the player that he is, those are the sort of level of performances we should be seeing from him. He looks nowhere near it. And like I say, I think we could get good money for him. And he is one that I would be cashing in on. For me, Diogo Dalot has to go. On to, well, another player that absolutely has to go is Luke Shaw. He is another one that's gone from failing to meet my expectations last season to being a detriment to the club this season. The amount of money we are giving Luke Shaw is criminal. He is on £200,000 a week and he does not play. And when he plays, he's absolutely awful. Again, I think he's done okay in that left centre-back position on a couple of occasions since he's been back. But, you know, you can't escape the fact that he did end up scoring the own goal in the Europa League final, which has cost us European football for next season. Yes, Onana is also to blame. Yes, Dorgu for not tracking the run is also to blame. But again, I don't see a future for Luke Shaw at Manchester United. But this is what I was saying about the Amorim overhaul. He is someone I can't see us getting rid of. I don't see who is going to pay us to get Luke Shaw. I don't know who is going to pay the wages that Luke Shaw is currently on. And for him, it just makes more sense for him to sit on the bench at Manchester United or sit in the recovery room, more likely, at Manchester United for another couple of years and then leave on a free. I would love to get rid of Luke Shaw right now, which again pains me to say because he's been one of our best players over the last 10 years. But again, I see no long-term future for him at Manchester United. And if we can get anything in for him, I think we absolutely must. So for me, Luke Shaw has to go. Then we get on to one of the youngsters, and this is, of course, Aiden Heaven, who for me has absolutely met his expectations. It would be exceeding expectations if it wasn't for the fact that he had that injury, because he came into the side and looks like a ready-made player to play in that position. I've been really, really impressed with Aiden Heaven so far. I think he's going to be a great player in years to come, and honestly, I can see him being a regular starter for us next season, playing in that left centre-back position. Again, I talk about it, the options we have. We've got Yoro that can play out of position there. We've got Shaw, we've got Martinez, who are going to be permanently injured anyway. So for me, Aiden Heaven's got a really bright future. Again, I just hope we can keep him fit. He scored his first goal for Manchester United against Hong Kong yesterday as well. Great moment for him. I wish him all the best going into next season. I have high hopes for this player. Let's see if he can produce it. 100% Aiden Heaven has to stay. From a man at the start of his Manchester United career to the man at the final end of his Manchester United career, this is, of course, Jonny Evans, who I gave an A to last year because genuinely he was our best centre-back last year. There's no doubt about it. He played more games than the other centre-back for Manchester United and he put in consistent performances. Unfortunately, again, this season, it's been full of injuries. And unfortunately, again, due to the amount of wages and due to the lack of playtime, he's unfortunately been a detriment to Manchester United. That might be a bit harsh. I could have put him as failed to meet expectations. But again, these players, you need them to be available. And he's just not been available when we've needed him this season. So unfortunately, it is an F for Jonny Evans in my opinion. But I wish him all the best. Again, the last man standing from the Alex Ferguson era. Supposedly supposed to be a trendsetter and sort of lay down the law, really. That's supposed to be part of his job. But again, you look at the attitude of some of those players, either he's not getting the message across to them or it's just simply not getting there in the first place. But of course, Jonny Evans, we wish him all the best. His contract ends at the end of the month. He obviously played the 2 post-season games for his farewell. But we'll see you later, Jonny Evans. He is gone, which then brings us to the absolute youngsters, starting with Harry Amass, who I'm just going to give a C to. Again, I would have liked to have seen a little bit more from him, but this time that's not on him. That's on the managers who chose not to play him after had a really good pre-season, in my opinion, under Ten Hag. With all the injuries we had at left-back, I'm surprised we didn't see him more under Ten Hag. I'm pleased that Amarin started to give him opportunities. I think we are going to see a little bit more from him next season, probably in the cup competitions. He's young, he's developing, he's played well when he's played so far this season. For me, he absolutely has to stay. And then finally, in terms of the defence, we have Tyler Fredrickson, who I'm just going to give a U to. I think it'd be very harsh to give him anything else. I think he started 1 game and came on in 1 game. That's not enough to give an actual grade for this season, but he's one of the young talents that Amarin believes in. Again, we've got a lot of young defenders that I think deserve more opportunities. Obviously, Yoro's going to get the game time given how much we spent on him anyway, but I'd love to see more of Heaven. I'd love to see more of Amass. I'd love to see more of Fredrickson. I think we've got a good foundation of young players that we need to start bringing through, and he is an example of one of them. So for me, he absolutely has to stay. Right, from defence, we move into midfield. And what better place to start in midfield than Mr. Mason Mount, who last season I gave an F to. And this season, I'm giving an F to because he's on 250 grand a week. He is the 12th highest earner in the Premier League. And he doesn't play because he's permanently injured. And then when he comes back, he puts in 1 good game in the second leg against Bilbao when we'd already won. And then he was an absolute ghost in the Europa League final when we actually needed him. So it's an absolute F for Mount. But there are signs that there is still a player in there. And for the first time in probably about 4 years, he's actually been fit for 3 months in a row. So I'm going to give him 1 last chance. And I mean that. This is 1 last chance. We spent a lot of money on him. I don't really know who would take him right now. I think he needs to establish himself. I think he needs more regular game time. And I think if he can stay fit, he'll start getting more game time next season. But if he picks up 1 more injury, I would be selling him in January. Last chance for Mason Mount. 2 Fs in a row. For some reason, I've decided to keep him. Next up, Bruno Fernandes, another player that's going to repeat his grade from last year. A last year, A this year. The only outstanding player for Manchester United. And I mean that in terms of the fact that he was, like I say, he could not do better. He absolutely smashed it this season in a season where everyone else has either been okay or just flat out dreadful. He has been absolutely phenomenal. And I know there's all this chat about Al Hilal and all the money we could generate from him and this, that and the other. But 100% Bruno Fernandes has to stay. Are you mad if we sell Bruno Fernandes? You cannot sell Bruno Fernandes. I don't care if we got 200 million for him. He is still the highest chance creator in the Premier League. You think how badly we are at creating chances and scoring goals. No player in the Premier League created more chances than Bruno Fernandes this season. He was our top scorer for the 4th time in his 5 seasons at Manchester United. He was our top assister for the 5th consecutive season as Manchester United player. He got player of the season for the 4th time out of his 5 years as a Manchester United player. You cannot replace that. It is not possible to replace that. If we sell him, it's probably the final nail in the coffin. Because this is my whole point. You cannot sign players to replace world-class talent. You can put a squad together. It might do okay. But any team with Bruno Fernandes will do better than any team without Bruno Fernandes for Manchester United. It is absolute club suicide if we get rid of Bruno Fernandes over the course of the next couple of weeks. I will lose my mind if we get rid of him. He absolutely has to stay. I still don't think he should be captain, mind you. I still don't rate him as a captain. But his performances are second to none. Again, just bear that in mind. Top chance creator in the Premier League in a team that can't create chances. Ridiculous if we sell him. Absolutely ridiculous. Christian Eriksen, again, I'm actually going to give him a D. I don't think he's been a detriment to the club. I don't even think he's failed to meet the expectations. He could have done better because I would have liked to have seen him play more. I'd have loved to have seen him play more in the number 10 role in Amarin's system, but for one reason or another, he just didn't get enough game time. He had a really good start to the season under Ten Hag. He was putting in some good performances. And yeah, I just think, yeah, he could have done better. I don't think it was a detriment. I don't think he failed to meet expectations, but yeah, again, sad to see him go because I absolutely love him as a footballer. But realistically, there is no place for him in Amarin's team next season. So he is going to go. And obviously, as we know, he's already gone anyway. Now things are going to start getting controversial. Because we start off now with Casemiro. Last season, I gave him an F because it was absolutely right. Injured, then crap. This season, he started the season unfit. You look at some of the pictures of him from last summer. He was unfit. However, since Amarin took over and since he's got himself fit, he has been absolutely superb. I cannot fault Casemiro for the last 6 months. He has been one of our best players. And I'm going to give him a D because of the first half of the season. Because obviously, how could he have done better? Well, he could have been in the condition that he was in for the last 6 months, for the first 6 months. So that's why I'm giving him a D. But this is where it's going to get controversial. I'd keep him. I don't think we can afford to lose him. His experience, his leadership, he seems to have a really good camaraderie with the players as well. But his qualities, he's still a very good tackler. His ball playing skills, his positioning. You think about the important goals and the chances he's involved in for Manchester United over the last 6 months. He is a crucial player in big matches in a team that lacks big match players. I think we need Casemiro. Obviously, he needs the right partner alongside him because we know he can't cover the ground when it matters. But again, if he leaves, we haven't got anyone else that can do the job that he can do. Which then brings me to Manuel Ugarte, who I'm also going to give a D to. And this is why it's going to be controversial, because I think we should get rid of Ugarte. Because I don't think he's good enough. I just don't think he's good enough. I don't think he's failed to meet the expectations, but he is the definition of could have done better. I think he wins the ball back a lot. I think his ball playing is terrible. Like when he came in, it was like, well, this is going to be the second coming of Fred. But he actually gives the ball away more than Fred used to. And we spent a lot of money on this guy. And again, I struggle to see what his job's going to be. Because if he plays alongside Casemiro in the 2, then we're relying on Casemiro to create anything. But also we're then lacking him driving forward because we need someone to play like that. If we're playing him with Bruno, then maybe it could be a little bit better. But I need him to do more. He just, for me, doesn't do enough. He runs around well, but I just don't know. I look at it from the perspective of Ruben Amorim was happy for him to go to PSG from Sporting. Yes, Sporting got a lot of money from him from Paris Saint-Germain, but Amorim is someone that trusts his players and wants to keep as many of his players as possible. He was happy to let Ugarte go to Paris Saint-Germain. And let's not forget, after 1 season, Paris Saint-Germain were happy to give him to us. Well, 1 season later, I'm happy to give him to somewhere else. I think we can do better than Ugarte. I know we're being linked with the likes of Edison and a couple of other midfielders. I think they could do the job better than this guy can. So, again, I think we can generate a lot of money for him. I don't think we'd get a lot of money for Casemiro. Yes, Casemiro is on astronomical wages, but for what I want to see from Manchester United, I think there's more value in holding on to Casemiro for another season than there is in holding on to Ugarte. I hope I'm proven wrong on that, because there is no way Ugarte is actually going to leave. But if it's down to me, I'll be looking to get rid of him and cash in some more money from Ugarte. Next up, Kobbie Mainoo. And this one hurts. Because I gave Kobbie Mainoo an A star last year. Because not only did he could not do any better, no one expects him to even play in the first place. He was just that good last season. To the point, the expectations were so high this season that he failed to meet them. It has to be an E for Kobbie Mainoo. Injured for half of the season, and his performances since he come back. Again, I talked about Mount. He's been a ghost. He doesn't get involved in the games. Yes, he had his 1 moment against Lyon, but that's it. 1 moment for an entire season for a player that people were looking at spending 100 million on him last summer. People still looking at spending 60 to 80 million on him this summer. I'd still keep him. I'm not going to go crazy. I'd still keep Mainoo. You've got to hold on to your talents that you can get the most out of. And again, I look at Ugarte and I think that Mainoo has a better future at Manchester United than someone like Ugarte does. But I wouldn't blame Manchester United for cashing in on Mainoo, especially given the whole pure profit situation with him being an academy player. I do struggle to see where he fits in. Is he going to be a 6? Is he going to be a 10? Who knows? But he's still young. He's still got time to develop. I think he could do either position to a good standard. He just needs more game time and needs to focus down, because I think there is still a very, very talented player there. But for this season, absolutely, it's been a stinker for Kobbie Mainoo. Oh, well, it's not going to get any better here, because Toby Collier, unfortunately, is also going to get an E. A lot of hype around this guy that he was going to be the next Scott McTominay. I don't want to talk about Scott McTominay because I'm upset. Because everything I've said about Scott McTominay over the last 3 years has come true this season. I said he'd be a player that would win Premier League titles. Well, he's gone and won a Serie A title by scoring the important goals in the important games for Napoli. I couldn't be happier for him. But this guy was supposed to be the new Scott McTominay. But he has been injury after injury after injury, to the point that when he's come into the team, we've not really had a position for him. He's never really been able to hit the ground running. And for all the hype about him being the next player to break through this season, like Mainoo did, like Garnacho did, it's not happened. So he's failed to meet his expectation, but he's still young. He's still got a future ahead of him, so he has to stay. Again, I look at Ugarte, and I look at this guy, and I think he could probably do Ugarte's job just as well as Ugarte already can. And I actually think Collier is better on the ball than Ugarte is. So we'll see. That's another reason for that. But for me, Collier should still stay. And then we have the forwards. Starting off with my boy, my beloved Rasmus Højlund, who I will back and I will back and I will back, but I have to give him an E because he's been awful. But I still think he deserves another chance. And what I mean by that is that that chance might not necessarily be at this football club next season. I think it's a mistake to sell him now, but it's been 2 seasons. I think he did well last season, where he was, getting himself about, creating chances, scoring goals, and he deserved his B last season. This season, he has been nowhere near as good as he was in his first season, and that's a worry. But he's still young. He still gets in good positions, and he still has a lack of chances. And this is what I keep going on about Bruno. If you take Bruno out of the team, how's anyone going to score any chances? Because they're not getting chances. The service we give Rasmus is an absolute disgrace. He does not stop working. He makes so many runs in behind. He drops off and feeds off other players. But he can't get the ball in the right areas. Unfortunately, he has on a couple of occasions this season and missed big chances. So that's why it's an E and not a D. But overall, I think he deserves another chance. He deserves a final chance. Whether or not that's at this football club or going out on loan somewhere else, again, I would leave that up to the actual people in charge. I would probably loan him out and see how he gets on. Because if he does well, that gives us the opportunity next summer to sit here and go, he's done well, he's got his goal-scoring touch back, let's give him one more chance. Or he's done well at another club, he's scoring goals, it's attracted more interest for him, we can get more money for him. Because I think we'd get more money for him next summer after a good season than we'd get for him this season. And I think he deserves that last chance. So for me, Rasmus Højlund should stay. Rashford, on the other hand, he's getting an F and he's going. No doubt about it. I mean, you want to talk about a detriment to the football club. He was awful for the first half of the season. He was woeful. He was an embarrassment, an absolute shell of the Marcus Rashford we know that he could be. Then he went on loan to Aston Villa, took, I think, was it half of his wages with him, so we're still paying him stupid amounts of money to play for Aston Villa, and he was still bang average for Aston Villa. He is a disgrace of a footballer right now. I have nothing but shame for Marcus Rashford, and that's an incredibly hard thing to say about a player who I thought had the absolute world at his feet 4 or 5 years ago, but it's not worked out for him. He has to go. Hopefully we can get that 40 million for him. I don't care where it comes from. I don't care if it comes from another Premier League club. If we get the 40 million for him, it's worth it in the end, but he absolutely has to go. Same can't be said about Joshua Zirkzee, who most people had as the flop of the season in January, but actually he has been really, really good since Ruben Amorim took over. Unfortunately, I have to give him a D because his first half of the season wasn't very good, and then he missed the last 2 months of the season through injury. So, could he have done better? Absolutely. Did he fail to meet the expectations? In my opinion, no. Because his performances for the second half of the season warrant why we signed him, and with his age and with his talent, I think we can start seeing more and more out of him. Again, if we can keep him fit, keep him in the regular rotation, I think we're going to see a lot more of Joshua Zirkzee. I think there is time for him to do even better at Manchester United. So I'm going to give him an absolute stay in my books. Next up, we have Ahmad. And again, this is going to piss a few people off, but I'm giving Ahmad a D for the exact same reason as I gave Yoro a D. Ahmad has been absolutely phenomenal. And in the games that he has played, I would give him an A. If this was purely based on the matches that someone has played, Ahmad would get an A for this season. He has something like a better goal contribution rate than Isak and Mbermo or something. He's like only second to like Salah in terms of goal contributions per minute or something in the Premier League this season. He's been absolutely incredible when he has played. But under Ten Hag, he didn't play. And for more than half of the time under Amorim, he's been out injured. So he could have done better. It's as simple as that. Obviously, I'm keeping him. But like I say, don't shoot me for giving Ahmad a D. It's not necessarily his fault why he's got it. But ultimately, his season could have been a hell of a lot better if he was more available for the many reasons that I've obviously given. Garnacho. Unfortunately, it's a D for him as well. Because I don't think he's failed to meet the expectations this season. You can't knock how hard he works when he's in the match. You can't knock his output this season. He's got 10 goals and 10 assists. I think it's actually more than that, but he got over the threshold of double figures for goals and assists for Manchester United this season. But he could have done better. And I think his attitude speaks volumes. But I also think he doesn't suit the system. And I really do mean that. I just don't think right now Garnacho is a good fit for Manchester United. I think if we were still playing a 4-3-3, I think he would have had a better season. And I think we'd be talking about a player that's going to be a Manchester United star for years to come, as we were this time last season. But times have changed. We don't play a system that suits him anymore. There are a lot of clubs that are after him. If we sold him, it'd be worth pure profit. He's had a massive fallout with the manager. Seemingly he's had a fallout with some members of the dressing room as well. it's just not working out. And unfortunately, he does have to go. This is the thing. Even if he stayed, I don't think we're going to see the Garnacho that we would see if he went somewhere else. So I wish him all the best. It's sad to see such talent go from Manchester United's academy. Granted, we did sign him from Atletico Madrid in the first place, excuse me. But yeah, I can't justify keeping him. The money we're going to get for him is going to be more than worth it. So for me, Garnacho has to go. Next up is Anthony. Obviously, I'm giving him an F. Shocking first half of the season. Then we paid 3/4 of his wages at Real Betis. And then he was absolute shocking in the Europa Conference League final because Anthony is still Anthony and has been playing against scrubs in La Liga for the last 6 months. And when he came up against a proper team in Chelsea this midweek, it was still the same Anthony. So it's an F. Hopefully his performances for Betis have got him the platform to get a big move this summer. He's obviously got to go. And again, I struggle to see where he'd fit in an Amorim system anyway. He's not going to play at right attacking midfield. He's certainly not going to play at right wing back. So I think it just makes more sense for all parties just to get rid. Apparently he's willing to take a wage deduction to leave as well. So that's fantastic. So again, I wish him the best. It's been fun. But ultimately, you have been an absolute waste of money and have continued to be a waste of money even when you've not been at the football club. So yeah, Anthony, it's time to go. Next up is Chido Obi. Scored his first goal for Manchester United yesterday in the game against Hong Kong. I'm still going to give his season a D, which again is going to sound a little bit harsh, but you think he did have a fair few opportunities towards the back end of the season when Xerxes got injured. He was coming off the bench for Højlund. He even started a couple of games when we were rotating players ahead of the Europa League final. And for someone with such a good reputation, you think about how well that Heaven's done. We signed them both from Arsenal last summer. You think how well Heaven's done. I think we could have seen a little bit more from Obi. And again, that's incredibly harsh to say. And you don't want to be, downing the youngsters before it's too soon. But I'd have liked to seen a little bit better from him. It's like, I could have given him a C-, but I'm not doing that. It's a C-, it's a D+. The future's bright for him. He took his 2 goals yesterday really, really well. So hopefully we're going to see a bit more from him next season. And again, it just sort of builds that problem of, should we really be sending Højlund out on loan, bringing a number 1 striker, shall we say, then have Obi as the backup? We'll see. All in all, I think he should stay. Next up, and finally, is Jadon Sancho. The reason Sancho is last is because he quite literally doesn't have a squad number anymore, because Ugarte took 25. So he has to go last. He literally has no squad number. Shockingly, it's going to be an F because, again, he's been getting half of his wages from Manchester United the entire season at Chelsea. And then he blooming delivered Chelsea a European trophy. Well done, Sancho. Thanks for that. You're obviously going to go. Hopefully it looks like it's going to be to Chelsea, who now look like they are going to exercise the 25 million buy option on him. But that does mean he has cost us 50 million in terms of loss because we spent 75 million on him. And he's on ridiculous wages that we've continued to pay for this season. Absolute joke. But the football club is not being run the right way. We know that. But that is going to conclude all of my player ratings and all of my stays and goes. So all that is left to do is wrap up the final list of who I think should stay and who should go. And it is as followed. In terms of staying, I would like to keep Bayindir, Mazraoui, De Ligt, Maguire, Dorgu, Yoro, Heaven, Amas and Fredrickson in terms of the defence. For the midfield, I'd keep Bruno, Mount, Casemiro, Mainu and Collier. In terms of forwards, I would keep Højlund, Xerxes, Ahmad and Obi. So a lot of players that we still need to sign there. But leaving, I would have Heaton, Onana, Lindelof, Martinez, Malacia, Dalot, Shaw, Evans, Ericsson, Ugarte, Rashford, Garnacho, Anthony and Sancho. If you actually look at that leave list, if we get money for Onana, we get money for Martinez, money for Dalot, money for Ugarte, money for Rashford, money for Garnacho, money for Anthony and money for Sancho, you're talking well over 250 million, probably approaching over 300 million in sales there. Could we get rid of all of them? I doubt it. But if we could and keep those players that I've picked over here, I think we then have the foundation to build the sort of team Amorim would want to build. And we can do it without getting rid of Bruno. That's the key for me. But as always, let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. It's always exhausting to do these videos, especially after the season that we've had. But thank you very much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on every single decision I've made in that video. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for listening. I'll see you very soon.